Now that you've done the principal, finding the principal in the previous section, and as you can see on the board again, we've got the interest formula, which hopefully you have in your head by now. It should be stuck in your head by now because it's a very simple formula and we're going to keep repeatedly using it. And now we're going to make the interest rate the subject, because sometimes they don't give us the rate that the bank required and they expect us to find that in the question. So again, guys, I'm going to actually make it into an algebra form. So in terms of pronumerals, I'm going to let interest be I, principal P, interest rate be R, and the number of periods be N. And if I want to find the rate specifically, what do I have to do to the P and the N? We'll have to divide, don't we? Because we're multiplying, and the opposite of multiply is divide. So we'll have to divide the interest by P times the N, and we'll just be left with the R on this side. So have a look on the board, guys. I've put in the formula for you. Interest rate, which I put as R, equals to I, which is interest, over the P times N, which is principal times period. So again, guys, don't treat this as memorizing a whole new formula. It just simply derived from our usual interest formula. So you should be able to simply use your algebra skills to calculate the interest rate. Okay, so let's try a question. Kim borrowed $2,000 for 5 years and paid interest of $600. Find the simple interest rate. So they give us the principal of $2,000, they give us the interest, which is $600, and they give us also the period, which is 5 years. So because we've got everything, we can simply use our interest rate formula to calculate the interest rate, because this one doesn't give us the rate. That's what we need to find. So interest rate is our interest in values, $600, over our principal times the period, and calculate it, and that's what you should have. But guys, this is rate, so it's best to leave rates in percentage form. So I'm going to multiply it by 100, because that's how we get a percentage, and you should get 6%, and that's what you should get. That's the answer, guys. That's the interest rate of this loan. So let's try question 1. Calculate the annual simple interest rate for the loan. Interest, they give us the interest of $2,500. They give us the principal value, which is $5,000, and they also give us the period of 10 years. Because we've got everything except the rate, we can find the rate by using these values and also using the formula that I've mentioned, isn't it? So interest rate is our interest, $2,500, over our principal, which is $5,000, and our period, which is 10. Just plug it all in your calculator and you should have something like this. And again, guys, leave it in a percentage form. It's very important if you do that, and you get 5% per annum. Okay, it's good to leave it as per annum interest rate. It's a good idea to write this down as well, just to specify what unit your rate is in. And they also actually do specify to put it in an annual rate, so it's a good idea to put that one. Question 2. Calculate the annual simple interest rate for the loan. It's pretty much exactly the same. We've got our interest, our principal, and period given to us. And we have our formula, which is our interest rate formula, which should be pretty simple by using some algebra. And we can just plug it in. So interest is $1,200 over our principal of $8,000. Our period is 2.5. Calculate it, and you should get 0.06. Don't forget to times it by 100, and then it becomes 6%, and don't forget to write per annum as well. It's very important. And that's pretty much it, very similar to the previous one. Question 3. Calculate the annual simple interest rate for the loan. So again, they give us the interest, the principal, and the period, so we can find the rate using our formula, can't we? Now, one thing you're going to be very careful here is because this one period is in months, and we want the annual simple interest rate. So we have to match up these units. So we have to convert our months to years. So how many months in a year, guys? There's 12 months. So to calculate how many years in 24 months, we'll have to divide it by 12 and simply get 2 years. So now that we've converted the period in terms of years, we can finally use our formula, our interest rate formula, which is going to be our interest of 360, our principal, which is 4,500, and our period is 2 years that we've just calculated over here. You must put it in years. And then you get 0.04, which is going to be 4% per annum. Make sure you times it by 100 to get percentage. And that is it. So a little bit of conversion going on there, which you're going to be careful. Question 4, calculate the quarterly simple interest rate for the loan. So this time they require the quarterly rate. But have a look at here, guys. They give us the interest, the principal, and the period, but the period is in months. So this is where we're going to be careful. One's in quarterly. The one we want is a quarterly rate, but the period they give us is in months. So we'll have to be able to convert our 6 months into quarters. Now, guys, how many months in a quarter? There's 4 quarters in a year, but in each quarter there are 3 months. So to calculate how many quarters in 6 months, we'll have to divide it by 3, don't we? And then you get 2. So in 6 months there's 2 quarters. So now we've got the period in terms of quarters, we can apply our interest formula, interest rate formula. So interest rate is our interest 360 over the principal 6,000, and our period is not 6 months, but it's 2 quarters, so we're going to use 2. And calculate it, you should get 0.03. And don't forget to times it by 100, so we get 3% per quarter, okay? Per quarter is also very important. Make sure you write that one as well. Okay, now let's try question 5. Calculate the quarterly. So again, they want the quarterly simple interest rate for the loan. So interest is given to us, principal value is given to us, and the period is also given to us. But have a look, guys. The period is in years. But what do we want? We want quarterly simple interest rate. So we have to convert the years into quarters. How many quarters in a year? There's 4 quarters in a year. So in 3 years, there should be 3 times 4 quarters, which is equivalent to 12 quarters. So we've converted the period in terms of quarters. We can now finally use our interest rate formula. So interest rate will be our interest, which is 1,200 over our principal, 5,000. And how many quarters here? 12 quarters. Must have it in quarters because we want the quarterly rate. So put 12, calculate it to get 0.02. And don't forget to times by 100 to get 2% per quarter. All right? Because they're asking us to find the quarterly rate. So again, usually the harder questions require you to do some conversions, but hopefully that makes sense and you should be pretty confident in doing your conversions by now.